Hello, my friends. Happy Sunday. So good to see you guys. Hope you've had a great week. Hey, we have got an awesome story for you. All right, this is one of my favorites. Are you ready for it? Yeah. Okay, now, to be ready, I want to make sure you guys have heard the stories before. What book of the Bible are we in? Exodus, that's right. All right, we are in Exodus and we're talking about Moses. He's the lead character of the story. And we have gone through all the times when he was a baby, and then when he got older and he lived in the palace, and then he moved to Midian. All these things, he saw the burning bush, right? God sent him back to Egypt and the plagues happened. So if you have missed any of those stories, please go back. TVC Kids Nashville, that's our YouTube channel just for kids. You guys, it's a great place to go to see devotions, all kinds of things. But go back and catch up on these stories because there's such a path of how God is saving the Israelites and how he's walking with them and staying so faithful to them. So I want to make sure you guys are seeing the full story. So go back and look at those. If you've just forgotten them, go back and look at them again before we hear this one. But this was a really good one. So I'm ready to read. Are you ready to listen? You are? Okay, here we go. How were the children of Israel, who had never been out of Egypt, going to find their way? So do you remember Pharaoh had just said, go, get out of Egypt, just leave after the plagues. After that last one where God saved the Israelites with the Passover, right? But the Egyptian firstborns had passed away. And so he was like, just go. But the Israelites had been slaves. They lived there for over 400 years. So how are they going to know where to go? Well, God did not let them down. He sent a pillar. Now, have you ever seen in a storm where like clouds just kind of come down? They almost look like a column or a pillar, right? That's what he sent. He sent a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire at night. And that was the guide for the Israelites. It was kind of like, have you guys ever played red light, green light? Yeah. So the pillar of cloud would go and the Israelites would follow. And when the pillar would stop, the Israelites would stop. And the pillar would go, and the Israelites would go, and the pillar would stop, and the Israelites would stop. And so that's how they would move. And do you remember, it wasn't just like 3 or 4 or 5 or 10. It was 2 million Israelites. So this was a big, giant group. And they were all going, and they were not moving super fast because they had children there. They had flocks, all their animals came with, and so they had to make sure that they had, time to eat and move. So it was kind of a slow path, but God was guiding them the whole way through with the pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire by night. All right, let's see what happens after that. After the children of Israel had gone from Egypt for a few days, it only took a few days. Pharaoh, you remember how he doesn't keep his word very well? Yeah. All right. He decided, who's going to do my work for me? He's like, for 400 years, these Israelites have been doing all the work in Egypt. And now they were gone. Who was going to do the work? So once again, he broke his word and he said, I'm going to go after him. So he gathered up his army and he put them all in chariots, right? Do you guys remember what chariots are? They're kind of like, there's a horse and then there's like a little buggy kind of thing, but this buggy was very fancy. It was usually gold or copper, and sometimes it would have jewels on it, especially if you were Pharaoh. And so they all got in their chariots, and the chariots could be pulled by the horses, so they were very fast. The Israelites were not moving quite so fast. The Israelites had not gone far, for most of them were walking. Do you remember that it took them a while? When they turned around and they saw the Egyptian army coming after them, they cried to the Lord to save them. They complained to Moses. Now, who else complains? Anybody else complain? Do you ever complain? I complain? Yeah. Should we be complaining? No. God is there providing for us. We're seeing how he's providing for the Israelites, and we could see how God provides for us every day as well. We shouldn't be complaining, but here they were. Even after seeing God protect them through all those plagues, they were still complaining. And so they said to Moses, was it there were not enough graves in Egypt, so you took us out here to die? No, that wasn't the plan. That wasn't God's plan. But here they were out in the middle of the desert trying to move forward. They see the Egyptians and they start complaining. But they were also kind of terrified too because they were moving fast. Here's what happens. Moses tried to calm them, and here's what he said. Don't be afraid. God will take care of you. Just stand still and see God work. He's going to wonderfully save you. The Lord will do all the fighting, and you will only have to watch. For this is the last time you will see these Egyptians. So think about that. Think about the people being so afraid, seeing these Egyptians, and God saying, just watch, stand back, I'll fight for you. I'll do the work. I'll fight for you. You just watch. You know, God does that for us now too. He's there working for us all the time. We just have to pull back, sit back, pray, and ask God to help us, and then watch him work. He'll do it for you. All right, let's see how he did it for the Israelites. Then God said, tell the children of Israel to move forward. And the Israelites began to pack up their things, right? There was, 2 million of them packing up all their things. And so they got ready, they're moving, but then they noticed, where are we going to move? Because in front of them was this huge Red Sea, right? It was a big sea. It was kind of like when you go to the beach, a lot of you guys go to the ocean and you see the water and it's just gigantic. That's kind of like the Red Sea. It was a big body of water. It wasn't just a tiny little lake. Big body of water. And then on the two sides were mountains. So they knew they couldn't go over the mountains. They knew they couldn't get through the sea. And they turned around, and who was behind them? That's right, the Egyptians running with their chariots coming so fast. So they thought, what are we going to do? Just then, God took the pillar of cloud and it went over the Israelites and between the Israelites and the Egyptians. And between them, God made the cloud dark and deep and thick so the Egyptians couldn't see the Israelites. But the cloud in front of the Israelites was bright and shiny and full of light. And so they could see the path that God had for them. Here's how it happened. They did not need to be afraid. The Egyptians couldn't see the Israelites at all. Then Moses stretched out his arm over the Red Sea, and the Lord sent a strong east wind which blew all night long. It blew so hard that the water was moving back and stood up like walls on either side. So here's the water, right? And Moses put out his arm, and the water, instead of being all here, stood up like walls on either side. And what did that leave? A dry path, the path that God wanted the Israelites to go on. So here's the water, the path. The Israelites started moving forward, following that cloud of light, right? And they started moving forward, and they made it all the way to the other side, to safely on shore. Well, when the Egyptians saw that, they finally got up close enough to see them. They thought, well, if the Israelites can do it, we can do it. But when the Egyptians started going through, God sent trouble for them. The wheels on the chariot started getting stuck in the sand and falling off. And things started happening, and the Egyptians were like, wait, this is the same God who brought the plagues. This is a God who loves the Israelites and is going to punish us for hurting them. So they started going, we must escape. And as they turned around, here's the walls of water, right? The walls of water came crashing down on the Egyptians. Soon you saw no Egyptians at all, only the water floating back and forth over the path. They saw no path. The Israelites were on this side of the sea, and the Egyptians were drowned. Soon the restless waves began to cast up the bodies. They started to see the Egyptians, and that was important. That was important for the Israelites to see that the Egyptians didn't escape, that God had punished them, and God had saved the Israelites. These Egyptians had treated them so cruelly for so many years, but they could never harm the Israelites again. So the Israelites saw that. The Israelites saw how wonderful, how great their God was, who had brought them out of Egypt with such mighty miracles. We are free, they said. We are free. They shouted to each other. The Egyptians can never trouble us again. Then Moses and the Israelites sang a beautiful song of praise to God for saving them. They were so happy and lighthearted that they felt like dancing. And so Miriam picked up a tambourine. Do you remember Miriam, Moses' sister, right? She picked up the tambourine, and all the other women joined her, and they danced and they sang praise to God for saving them. That's the right thing to do, right? They began to just love God and praise Him even more. Oh, what a happy people they were, singing and dancing to the Lord. They were safe now after all those hard years of slavery. Would they ever forget how God cared for them? Would they ever again be afraid of trouble or danger? Well, I'm sorry to say that they were people, just like you and me, right? And so at some point, you're going to see in the future they would doubt again. They would fear again. They're people just like you and just like me. So the Israelites had seen all these miracles, but yet we'll see later in the stories that there were doubts and there were fears. But right now, there was praise and there was dancing and there was singing, just like we should do. You know, when God protects us, do we sing? Do we dance? Do we praise? Do we thank Him with our whole hearts? That's what the story is teaching us. God will save us, just like He saved the Israelites. We do need to praise Him and thank Him. I hope you guys will look for things. Look for ways that God is in your life today. Look for things that God is providing for you. How is God taking care of you? How is God watching out for you? Is He keeping the water away from you? Is He keeping the path clear for you? He's got a path for you guys, just like He's got a path for me. And we just have to stop doubting and try to believe and have faith, and then He will make the path clear for us. He will keep the water away from us. All right, can you guys do that? I hope you can. I hope you'll look for ways God is blessing you and rejoice and praise Him. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon.